What if I told you that your thumbnails could be the reason your channel isn't growing as fast as you hoped? The thing is, if your thumbnails aren't grabbing attention, no matter how great your content is, then you're leaving views on the table. So in this video, I'm going to help you improve your click-through rate by walking you through the mind-blowing psychology behind thumbnails and why they work, a time-saving system to plan and create high-quality thumbnails faster, and the exact channel growing frameworks I use to get results like these. Listen, no matter what people say, a thumbnail isn't just a pretty picture that's well designed and makes people go, ah, that's nice. No, it's literally your first impression, and I'd say it makes up 99% of your video success. Because if no one clicks, then no one watches. Yet so many creators leave it to the last minute, treating their thumbnails like an afterthought. So a killer thumbnail has two jobs. It has to spark curiosity, and it has to trigger an emotion that makes someone click your thumbnail over hundreds of others. Imagine you walk into a bar with some mates and you're the designated driver, so you order a soft drink and the bartender leans in and says, "There's something weird that happens to people when they order these soft drinks." You're not going to shrug and go, "Ah, nice," and then take your drink to the table. No, you'd be a little bit curious, maybe even a little bit scared, right? So in this section, I'm going to show you the super simple process that I use to create thumbnails that hit these emotional triggers perfectly. Once you nail the psychology behind your thumbnails, your channel will thank you. Alright, so if you upload a video with just one thumbnail idea and then you see your click-through rate drop, then you're basically stuck trying to fix something that you could have nailed from the start. That's why I never rely on just a single thumbnail concept. And this isn't just about having multiple thumbnail options. It's actually part of a 3-step system that allows me to create high quality thumbnails super fast. So here's the system. First, I literally sketch out a bunch of ideas onto my iPad with my Apple Pencil, but if you're more of a phone or even a paper person, then that works too. I then dump all of these sketches and any inspirational thumbnails that I find on YouTube into Google Docs, and it's in this document that I write my script to. Also, I actually sometimes use tools like ChatGPT or Bing's image generator to come up with even more thumbnail ideas. But doing this means I never lose a killer thumbnail idea, and it means I can pick the one that I think is going to grab people's attention the most. But basically, the more thumbnail concepts you have for your video, the better. But I just suggest having at least 3 strong ones. Next, I take the shot, and I know it sounds simple, but getting that perfect image is key. And I take around 25 to 30 thumbnail images, all with different emotions and hand gestures, so that I have lots of different options to choose from. Finally, I bring it all together in Photoshop, and there's a good reason that I ditched Canva. I basically find Photoshop gives me way more creative control. But I'll dive into why Photoshop was a game changer in just a bit. Okay, so here we are in what the big creators like to call their thumbnail studio, but what I like to call my kitchen. But I want to share 3 hacks that completely changed how my thumbnails performed on YouTube, and they can change how yours perform too. First up is the X2 rule, and it's one that I see way too many creators overlook. Basically, if you nail one video with a certain thumbnail style and you change that style for, let's say, your next video, then the click-through rate for your next video can drop dramatically. You see, I've been taking all my recent thumbnail shots right here at this table. Why? Well, basically, doubling down on a proven, recognisable format helps to build your brand, and it also keeps returning viewers coming back for more. Think about the big creators like Danko. He does it with his clean black and white style. Alex Hormozy does it with bold colours and his recognisable cap, and Mark Tilbury does it with his red shirt and serious face. Every big creator knows that sticking with a proven, recognisable format is what grows and sustains a channel. Now, I didn't fully understand the importance of quality until I upgraded from my iPhone to my DSLR. My early iPhone photos were okay, but they were a bit flat, they were a bit grainy, and to be honest, they weren't very popping. So upgrading to my Canon 2000D changed everything. It improved all the details, all the clarity, which kind of gave my photos a more professional look, which gave my videos a little bit more credibility and authority. But if a DSLR isn't in your budget, then you can still make a huge difference to how your thumbnails look. For example, these Ulanzi light boxes have been a massive help in getting the right lighting for my thumbnail shots and in my videos as well. And to be honest, they're not that expensive, and lighting can make a huge difference even if you're just shooting thumbnails on your phone. And there's also this tube light behind me, which comes with its own remote control, which has been really useful for getting a nice blurred light in the background, but also creating some nice lighting effects. Yeah, okay, let's turn that off now. But one little hack that I swear by is to make the room that I'm shooting in as dark as possible. In the winter, it's fairly easy because it's darker hours for longer, but on a brighter day like today, I'll basically shut all the blinds and even cover my windows with blankets. The main reason I do this is so that I can fully control the lighting, making my face and my thumbnail as punchy and professional as possible. Finally, let's talk editing. Now, back when I first started, I used to use Canva, which was okay for the time being, but after a while, I kind of felt that something was missing, and when I was putting thumbnails together, it felt a little bit clunky. But when I switched to Photoshop, it was like I'd been missing a part of my YouTube soul. Now, Photoshop opened up so many doors, letting me fine-tune every detail and helping me to make thumbnails much quicker. Even if your niche doesn't demand high-quality thumbnails, you know, it could just be stickmen with the Comic Sans font, believe it or not, that is actually working. I still recommend learning Photoshop. Now obviously it takes a bit of time to get used to, but once you do get the hang of it, you can bring the idea that you had in your head to life exactly how you imagined it, because Photoshop has all the tools that you need to make that idea in your head possible. To put it into perspective, when I first started, I'd spend 4 hours and even more making thumbnails that look like this, and now I spend even less time creating thumbnails that look like this. It just goes to show how far practice can actually take you, and if someone like me can do something like this, then you definitely can. Oh, and one more thing, when editing in Photoshop, I use this cool little tool for my trackpad. It basically works the same as an Apple Pencil, just without the pressure sensitivity, but it helps to give my finger a rest and stops it from going numb when it's been on the trackpad for too long. And it also gives me way more stability and accuracy. Now, I know it's only a small tool, but it makes a huge difference. Now, thumbnails are one of the most misunderstood parts of the YouTube creation process. Basically, there's lots of creators out there that will throw together a thumbnail, look at it, and think, yeah, that might work, and then they're done. But most people don't really understand how thumbnails actually work. They know thumbnails exist and that they affect clicks, but they're missing the secret sauce behind why some thumbnails grab attention and others flop. Now on one end you've got creators who overthink their thumbnails and spend hours obsessing over every single pixel, and on the other end you've got those who just rush and call it a day. But the reality is the majority of a thumbnail's power comes from the psychology behind it. The quality just boosts that psychological effect. So without a solid framework, you end up misunderstanding thumbnails, or you end up overcomplicating them. So here's a simple framework that can save you from all of that headache. The first part of the framework helps you when you're creating your thumbnail concepts. Firstly, you need to look at how much curiosity your thumbnail creates. You basically want to create a curiosity gap, the gap between someone not knowing something and knowing something without giving away the whole story. Secondly, you want to think about clarity, and you want to make sure that the message is understood in just 1.8 seconds. And after that, you want to look at credibility and how you can create a thumbnail concept that builds trust with your audience through social proof and authority. And finally, you want to look at the contrast and how your thumbnail stands out against others. Basically, this is when you want to think about what kind of bold colours you're going to use in your thumbnail so that your thumbnail stands out even on a tiny mobile screen. But over the past few years, I've nailed down on what really makes a thumbnail work for me, and this is where the second part of the framework comes in. And it's my secret hack for deciding which thumbnail concept to go ahead with and design. Basically, once you've got your thumbnail idea, run it through these quick questions. Is it gripping? Does it get people's attention? Does it spark curiosity? How achievable would your potential viewer perceive your video to be? Like, does it promise realistic, actionable results? Maybe it just hints that the viewer will learn something new. Is it innovative? Does it feel fresh? Is it something that your viewers haven't seen a million times before? Does it feel necessary? Does it feel essential? Like making viewers think, I need to watch this. And does it tell a story? Does it hint at a narrative? And we all love a good story, even if it's just learn how to play the A minor chord on a guitar. Now, thumbnails are just one piece of this massive YouTube puzzle, and there are actually over 28 different key elements to seeing real YouTube growth. So if you feel stuck or unsure about what's missing when it comes to YouTube growth on your channel, then you can grab a free call with me, which you can find a link to down below. So once you are happy with your thumbnail design and you've checked it against the 4Cs framework and the Gains framework, there are 2 super quick checks that you should think about doing. The blink test is simple. You just close your eyes, open them real quick, and then close them again. Then you ask yourself, does this thumbnail still grab my attention? And if it does, you're on the right track. Then there's the zoom test, and this is where you shrink your thumbnail down to test whether your thumbnail looks good on smaller devices, and if it does, then you're all good. Alright, so once your thumbnail is live, don't relax just yet and start celebrating, there's still more work to do. You might actually be wondering, should I use A/B testing on YouTube or not? Or you might be thinking, what if my thumbnail flops? When should I switch it out for a new one? Well, first, let's have a look at A/B testing. Basically, A/B testing means you upload 2 to 3 different thumbnails on the same video. YouTube then shows each different thumbnail to different viewers and chooses the winner based on which kept people watching for longer. YouTube's all about watch time, not just click-through rate. So if your thumbnail gets people to stick around, then the YouTube algorithm will love you. But honestly, I've actually found way more success sticking with proven winning thumbnail formats rather than using YouTube's A/B testing. But that said, if you are curious and you like experimenting, then give it a shot and see what works for your channel. Now, what if your click-through rate is pretty low in the first 20 to 40 hours after publishing? Well, then it's time to consider tweaking things. I always recommend testing a new title first because it's easier and quicker, and genuinely changing a title alone can make a huge difference like it did for my most recent video. But sometimes it's literally just a simple word change that can make all the difference. But if that doesn't do anything, then you can swap out your existing thumbnail for one of your other stronger concepts. Now, although your thumbnails make up for 99% of your video's success, that thumbnail wouldn't exist without a killer video idea. So if you want to find out how to make pretty much infinite killer video ideas, you can watch this video right here. And if you don't watch it, you're going to make Mickey cry, so please, for Mickey's sake, watch the video.